Hey folks, Jeff Shaw with JSHAW Heating and Cooling here. If you live in the Midwest, you're used to our cold, blustery winters. You've probably got one of these sitting in your basement. You may have electric heat, you could have boiler heat. But today we're going to talk about these furnaces and why you should have them serviced on a regular basis. So stay tuned. Joining me today is Santos. You won't see him in the field, definitely behind the scenes here at JSHAW Heating and Cooling, but he's a key member of the team. Santos, what do you got for me?
Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. For everyone that is watching today and who has been participating in our social media, specifically this last week in regards to our Facebook poll that we had regarding how often we should service and have our furnace inspected, today we're diving into that with the expert here. So Jeff, tell us, how often should we have our furnaces serviced, inspected? Is it once a year, twice a year, quarterly? What does that look like for us?
Solid question, Santos. Honestly, at the beginning of heating season, fall, typically when we're bringing in the furnaces, starting to warm up a little bit, you should definitely have a service technician out to look at your furnace. We're looking for key safety things: igniters, gas valves, inducer motors, fan motors, air filters, humidifiers, all things that are really important and key pieces of the equation, if you may.
Awesome. So 2 years, twice a year?
Twice a year. Twice
Perfect.
a year is good. Yep.
Perfect.
You know, we run them at the beginning of the year. As we get into January and February, it gets really cold. These things are putting in double duty, running non-stop for some of you. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. You won't really know until I get in there to take a look at it.
Another question that I saw, that I've seen popping up all week actually, is what is the life expectancy of these machines? Obviously, you know, we have all sorts of different types of heating available here in the Midwest. We have propane, natural heat. You know, what does that look like for these machines?
Sure. So with natural gas, you don't really, the manufacturer gives you 15 to 20 year life expectancy. If you're running those on propane, or what some of you may call LP, that dramatically reduces that down to around a 10 to 12 year period for those furnaces.
Alrighty, Jeff, so we hit on propane. What does it look like for electric furnaces and boilers?
Absolutely. So your electric air handlers, they look a little different than this. Folks, you know you've got them out there. They're usually paired with a heat pump. Not a lot to really go wrong in there, but there is some electrical components that do need to be checked. There are safeties that do need to be checked in them. And the same goes for your boilers as well. We need to make sure that you have PRVs, your pressure reducing valves, you've got water flowing like it's supposed to. And once again, we're looking for those carbon monoxide leaks. That's a big one.
Alrighty, moving along, Jeff. When you're running a service call, what are some of the things that you see that leave individuals with a broken down furnace on a bitterly cold night? They wake up in the morning and they're in a cold house.
Absolutely. The most common thing I'm seeing, air filters.
Okay.
Air filters need to be changed on a regular basis. We're not always good about that. We're not always good about a lot of things. This particular component, responsible for shutting down the furnace if it gets too hot, it had actually failed. And in that failure, it actually failed in an open position. It failed the wrong way, allowing the furnace to get too hot, potentially melting the house down.
Alrighty, anything else that we see with common overheating as a furnace?
You know, flame sensors, Santos, those are a real particular one. They can be cleaned. They should be replaced on a regular basis, but they can be cleaned. This is another one of those that will allow the furnace to run for a certain amount of time and then not run in the most inopportune time.
Any other, boards heating, anything like that that you see?
Sure. When we're inspecting these furnaces, you know, this particular board that I pulled out on a furnace, it had actually had a fire on the board, and the homeowner had never known. I'd asked them if they'd smelled any wires, if they'd smelled anything burning. They had not. Had we not caught this, it would have definitely reared its ugly head on probably the coldest night of the year.
All right, Jeff. Any other components that you frequently see that just, create true safety hazards in a furnace?
Sure. I've got a couple different ones here. You know, not so much of a hazard as it is just a nuisance. The igniter on your furnace. They get worn, they get marked. Sometimes they get a crack and they'll still work for a limited amount of time. When these things go, real inconvenient. Some of the other things I've ran into, slow acting gas valves. This particular one on the lady's furnace, It was working, but it wasn't always working. Sometimes it would light, sometimes it wouldn't let the gas through. Hard one to catch.
Alrighty, and then earlier you had hit on the fact that there were issues with propane and that being corrosive. Do you have any examples of faulty
Absolutely.
equipment?
These burners here came out of a furnace here recently. You can see the rust on the burners. What it actually was allowing to do is the gas travels across that burner. It was allowing the gas to seep out. So when this furnace would light, that flame would come charging out. Definitely a safety issue that needed to be checked on and wasn't.
Alrighty, well thank you so much for showing me around today.
There you have it, folks. As you can see, there's a lot that needs to be checked in your furnace. We didn't even uncover half of what really goes on. Service technicians have specialty tools, meters, gauges we can check inside your furnaces with cameras. We've got meters that check the carbon monoxide. There's so many other things that we just didn't have the time to capture here. So please, give us a call, 635-0474, and get us out there to look at your furnace.